Wonderful. All right. So you've heard a couple of the podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw the special bonus Pride episode came out.
I have not yet.
Yeah.
I've only seen the first two so far.
That came out on Wednesday. I kind of meticulously planned that one coming out on Wednesday because I accidentally missed my partner's age. They turned 24 today, February or on June 19th, and I said that they were 24 like 2 weeks ago when we recorded it.
Well, happy birthday to your partner.
Yeah, so I kind of released that on Wednesday going, you'll be 24 soon!
That's excellent.
Yeah. Hello, and welcome to our trivia game show podcast, Fun Facts with
Spencer Roberts.
So you know how this works, but I'll explain it for anybody who is just dropping into the podcast out of nowhere. You have three categories. Each category has three facts. You're trying to find the lie. Each category also gives you one hint per category and one 50-50 per game, and you can discuss them out and etc. like that.
Okay.
So the three categories I have for you are history, because there's always a history category. Yeah. Because I like my weird history.
Oh, yeah.
Earth, because I know that you are an...
Oh, no, I didn't study.
Eco-science person?
Yeah, environmental engineer. I should know about the Earth.
And then a potpourri category. So just a random whatever I thought was interesting.
Oh, okay. I was worried it was about actual potpourri. I don't know much about that. It's usually dry, I think.
I should do a potpourri category at some point that's entirely about things that make other things smell a different way.
All right. Well, awesome.
So which category would you like to start off with?
Let's start with potpourri, because that's fresh on my mind right now.
Oh, right. So the three facts in the potpourri category are: 1, a single strand of spaghetti is called a spaghetto. 2, Jack Daniel, the founder of the whiskey company, died from kicking a safe. When he kicked it, he broke his toe and got an infection and died from sepsis. And 3, in 1325, 2 Italian city-states fought over a bucket, which resulted in 2,000 deaths and started when 2 soldiers stole a bucket from the well in the city center. All
right, and you might have to refresh my memory. I'm trying to find which one's true or which one's false.
Trying to find the lie.
Okay, good. Because the first one jumped out at me. The spaghetto. I actually have heard that, and I've bugged Melanie to no end about that. And I happen to know that one is true. The singular of spaghetti is spaghetto. I know that one. I have not heard of the other two, and that has me very excited. So it was the founder of Jack Daniels kicked a bucket, broke his toe, and got an infection. Okay, that sounds like a nice trivia factoid. And the other one that was a city in Italy, they were fighting over a bucket and like 2,000 people died or something like that.
Yep.
Jeez. That sounds like something Americans would have done, but that doesn't mean Italians wouldn't have. I'm also just trying to think out loud here. I've also heard, that would kind of make sense too, because Italy is known for wine. And wine tends to grow in, I guess, barrels, not really buckets, but maybe, I would say, I'm going to say that one kind of makes logical sense. I'm willing to bet that one probably is the lie, but that's not my final answer. I'm going to say the Jack Daniels one, I think, is going to be the lie.
Are you sure?
I am not sure, but that's what I'm going to go with.
That is incorrect.
Doggone it.
You should have gone with your instinct.
Yeah.
The Italian city-states is false, but it's only false because that's the common myth told about it. The real reason that the bucket war started is because the Moldonian people took over the castle of Montevideo from the people of Bologna. At least that's how it's spelled, Bologna. So
Oh, yeah.
I assume it's pronounced bologna, like the meat.
Yeah.
But the Moldonese people actually did take a bucket from the well at Bologna as a keepsake after the war had finished. So the common myth was that it was actually started over the bucket, and
that's awesome.
Jack Daniels did actually die of sepsis after kicking a safe.
That's interesting. But I mean, it's at the times, medical things were a little more crude. And
then you are correct. Yeah, a single spaghetti is called a spaghetto. But I didn't have any more information on that. That's all Wikipedia gave me. So
fair enough. I'm glad I edited Wikipedia before this. Yeah.
And I'm glad you didn't choose the bonus or choose the hint because it was extremely unhelpful. At least to your personal knowledge.
Yeah.
Because it was a bonus 50-50. And I would have taken out the spaghetto.
Oh, lovely. That's awesome.
So what are you drinking? I already know, but you can tell the folks at home.
I invented, in a Christopher Columbus sense, in that I did not invent it. I went ahead and I added a little bit of gin, I don't remember what kind, to a little bit of ginger beer, of which I don't know what kind, to a little bit of lime juice, which I also don't remember what kind. And I just call it this nasty thing I'm drinking that tastes vaguely like floor cleaner, and I'm probably not going to drink again.
And I am still drinking water because I have to drive.
Yay!
Woohoo!
I have a designated driver, just so
Speaking
y'all know.
of Columbus not discovering things, when I was recording with Melanie just a little bit ago, although this is probably a week or so later, it's actually 5 minutes ago, I accidentally reused one of my factoids as the false lie that Columbus discovered things. I am embarrassed about that. Luckily, I don't think I have any that are the same in here or that are the same that are the false one.
Oh, okay.
All right, so which one do you want next? Earth or history?
Let's do history next. I want to embarrass myself the most on the Earth one, and that's going to be once this drink is dwindled down a little more.
All right. So the 3 facts I have for you in history are George Washington opened a whiskey distillery after his presidency. Ronald Reagan was a believer in astrology. And young George Washington couldn't tell a lie.
Well, what's got me worried is that word couldn't. Because couldn't tell a lie. I mean, I believe he was probably, vaguely honest do-gooder or something, maybe. Like, not to throw any names out, but any young, wonderful environmental engineers that definitely were truthful. Sorry, Mom. But I don't know about couldn't tell a lie. Might have had some obligation there. Ronald Reagan being into astrology, it's not something I feel like I probably would have heard of. If I'm not mistaken, Ronald Reagan, he was known for, he was an actor at one point. And every time I see him, I remember my social studies teacher saying, "Win one for the Gipper," because I guess he played the Gipper or something. I don't know what that is. Or I thought Kipper
I don't know. We're youth, so
yeah. Boy, my history was just a big smear. Like, literally, it was already what was in the history books, and then you just take a sweaty thumb that's studying for the exam and smear it over the pages. That's what I've got right now. Gross analogy, I apologize, but let's see. And the first one, what was the first one? George Washington something?
Opened a whiskey distillery after his presidency.
That I could really believe. That sounds just incredibly true. Because, I mean, what else was there? I mean, there's I guess in his time there was farming, there was slaves, and I guess liquor? So, or I guess, okay, so I'll just go ahead and assume that one's true because that's fun to do. I feel like Ronald Reagan probably wasn't much of an astrology guy. Trying to think, because Reagan... Oh, something's just coming to me. The Reaganomics. The trickle-down economy theory.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you have to have that kind of blind ambition, you can't be looking at stars and believing stars have anything to do with it.
Or did he have a sneaky astrologer telling him what to do?
That could be.
Who actually believed in those things and was just trying to use Reagan to make money.
That could be. Now that could be. It's starting to sound more real. But I don't know. George Washington and the Honor Code, I don't really necessarily believe that, because just about everything I've heard about George Washington's a lie, I think. If I don't, I hate to keep waffling over every single answer, but I'm pretty sure I heard that George Washington's wooden teeth were fake. And that tells me that he was probably a giant liar pants. So I'm gonna say George Washington can't tell a lie what is fake.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
That is correct.
Okay.
Although there is the popular myth about George Washington that he cut down his father's apple tree and then told his father that he couldn't tell a lie, it was actually made up by a priest and biographer of George Washington in order to give a sense of virtue to George Washington's personal life that people were, America was new, so they were trying to cling on to something as an identity. So they were like, what was George Washington, our first president? Ronald Reagan was a believer in astrology, and he was deeply interested in astrology. In fact, both he and Nancy were, and they did actually have an astrologer who was a advisor at the White House.
Goodness.
The extent by which she advised things is unknown, even to this day, and is reported by previous Reagan administration folks that she had her hands in everything. But Nancy Reagan herself wrote that, she just helped out with scheduling to make sure that, Ronald Reagan didn't get assassinated.
Oh, okay. Not in the stars, not today.
But the astrologer herself has said that she was, dipping her hands into things that she maybe not should have been.
I can't say I can blame that.
And in case you were curious, Ronald Reagan was an Aquarius.
Oh, I'm a Sagittarius. And I still don't really know what that means.
Yep. George Washington opened a whiskey distillery after his presidency. That is true. In fact, Mount Vernon actually has a recreation of the whiskey distillery that still to this day produces about 11,000 gallons of unaged whiskey.
How frequently? Per year?
I assume it's a year, because they're using the old-fashioned whiskey making methods. They're not using, But
nice.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, the more you know. Oh, and I just remembered that there are hints available, and I keep forgetting to use them.
Yes, you do. That one would have been useful because it was when there's two, choose the younger.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yep. 2 facts about George Washington. The one involves young George Washington. So that one would have been useful.
That would have been.
Yeah. And then you would actually mention George Washington's teeth. In a previous episode, we go over George Washington's teeth, and most of them were actually teeth taken from slaves.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Into dentures.
Just lovely. Our history is sip drink.
Our history. Do you mean our present current situation in the world?
I do. We're still writing the history book, so yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yep.
All right. Are you ready for the Earth category?
Sure. Let me take another quick swift drink. Yes.
By the way, we're recording this on Juneteenth, so any of our African American and Black listeners out there, I don't know how to wish you well this Juneteenth because it is not a holiday for me, a white person to do so. I hope you are celebrating in whatever manner or fashion you choose to celebrate the Emancipation Day.
As a card-carrying Texan, I apologize that Texas was so slow. That was just an embarrassment.
Fun fact, as a card-carrying Texan, you do not have to give up your driver's license if you move to another state.
And I did not know that.
Yep, until it expires and you have to go get it renewed, you do not have to give it up until...
Well,
because of a flaw in the paperwork that technically makes Texas another country.
Oh. Well, I do know I also have a license to carry. I'm not carrying, but I do have a license to carry, and I don't have to give that up either. And that's not a flaw. That's just Michigan doesn't want to deal with extra paperwork.
Yep.
That's not a flaw. That's I guess saving me money.
Right.
From not carrying.
All right, Mr. Environmental Scientist.
All right, let's earth me up, bud.
The 3 facts in the Earth category are: the Earth is as hot as the sun. There's a salt dumping ground in Germany that has formed an actual mountain. And Earth is recycling plastics into rocks on its own.
Well, all right, so let me take these one by one here. So I'm thinking, out loud, of course, Earth being hotter than the sun, or at least as hot as the sun, that would at least lead me to believe, or at least make me start thinking about the core of the Earth, inner core, outer core. I didn't really get great grades in that portion of Earth science, but I believe it's very, very hot there, to the point where metal is liquid. I don't know if it's as hot as hydrogen spontaneously, more or less undergoing, I think it's fusion. Well, you can't really fission with hydrogen. It doesn't get smaller. So I'm going to table that for now, but that sounds fake. However, there are probably pockets that are hotter than the average temperature of the sun, I'll say. In Germany, they salt dump as high as, or basically becoming a mountain. That sounds extremely real. Like they just started dumping it, and then through a various amount of like weather forces and stuff like that, or the fact that they're just dumping so much salt that it's pretty much a mountain peak of its own. That sounds very believable because, I mean, I know salt's valuable and it has been in history times and blah blah blah, but not as much now, but it kind of is. So I could see that being real. There's not a huge demand for salt anymore. And then, crap, what's the third one? I'm sorry.
Earth is recycling plastic into rocks on its own.
Now that I kind of believe, but not on a great scale. Because I know there are sorts of bacteria, and I don't think algae, but bacteria, that are able to process plastics and break them down. I don't know what they break them down into because I'm not exactly a chemist or anything like that, and I haven't been studying that exactly. But they break it down into other materials, and I would not be shocked to find out that they become something that becomes in sedimentary rocks, or generally breaks it down into some sort of rock-like substance that conglomerates and stuff like that. So I would believe that one is probably true. However, in the spirit of the game, I would love to hear the hint.
If something is too hot to be true, it probably is.
Oh. Well, I guess that kind of confirms my idea there. The fusion of hydrogen atoms and then, I guess, subsequent fission of whatever becomes is probably going to be way more energy than, I mean, considering atomic bombs and stuff like that, it's a lot more energy than necessarily just moving molten, I think it's nickel and iron. And boy, I need to hit them books. I'm going to say that that's probably the lie.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
That is correct, but not for the reason that you think.
Oh.
It's because of the exact wording of Earth is as hot as the sun. According to new measurements in 2013, so new is...
very relative.
the suggested inner core of the Earth is actually far hotter than it was previously known. The core of the Earth is actually as hot as the surface of the Sun. However, I did not say the core of the Earth. I just said the Earth. And the solid core is actually crystalline iron. We do know that. It's solid crystalline iron. So, yeah. Yeah, so you are right, but technically you're still wrong.
Well, I mean, I'll take being right, although, I mean, that doesn't really help me in my career, but I should probably know why.
Mont Kali is the name of the mountain that is formed out of a salt dumping ground in Germany. It is actually formed due to the type of mining known as potash mining.
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
Where sodium chloride happens to just be a byproduct of that from extracting the potassium. So they take, because apparently chloride likes sodium better than it likes potassium, so they're mining potassium chloride and then mixing it with sodium, and the chloride is attaching to the sodium, and they can use the potassium for other things. So they've been dumping in this one area for the last 20 years, and they still have until 2030 to keep dumping in that area. After that, from what I have read, Germany is looking at not renewing their contract and trying to get rid of that salt mound because it is actually poisoning the surrounding area. It is the amount of salt that is there is actually leaching into the local rivers and making things not be able to grow anywhere near it.
I could see that being a major problem.
And the Earth is recycling plastic into rocks. These new types of rocks are called plastiglomerates. It is a sedimentary type of rock that is formed when plastic, it's not actually breaking down. What's happening is plastic is getting squished in between layers of different sediment and then forming shale and slate and clast type sedimentary rocks.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, I got some words right. That's awesome.
But yeah, plastiglomerates.
That is awesome. I really want to use that word more often.
In the future, we'll have plastiglomerate jewelry.
Oh yeah, I could really see myself doing that actually.
Where it has just like different, the plastic is all settled and layered down, so you've got different layers of plastic in between like the shale and the clast.
That'd probably be really cool looking, but I mean it's definitely like said in a broader sense, but that would probably be really pretty.
Right.
Awesome.
But it also gives us an idea as to how to remove, or how to, help things along. Bury it and hope it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. Well, look, hey, you gotta take the good with the bad, I guess.
Right.
Oh, man. Recycling is fun.
I mean, I think we should go back to all glass, like drinking bottles and things, and then when you return the glass bottles to wherever you return them to, they send those back to the store or to the processing plant that actually, like, if it's a Coca-Cola bottle, it goes back to Coca-Cola, and then Coca-Cola runs it through their autoclave, refills it, puts another cap on it, and ta-da, they're done. Glass is the only thing that can be recycled in its exact form.
And I mean, I've not to spoil anything, but I'm from Michigan. I've been to Meyer once or twice, or 1,000 times. And every time we recycle the glass bottles, I hear a distinct, or when the machine
shattering,
tosses it, it distinctly shatters.
It does it on purpose.
Yeah.
But there are ones. There are. I worked in Yosemite National Park, and they had a bottle return there, and they had a bottle return machine, and the job of the glass bottle return machine actually took it and like gently set it down. It was weird and kind of nice, and it like didn't make that shattering. But a lot of them are specifically designed to shatter it so that way it can just go to a glass processing plant rather than going to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it would at least save some energy if you could just, re-clean the bottle, but then I guess you'd run into the issue of what if the bottle was cracked or damaged or something like that, and they can't really guarantee the safety of that bottle, blah, 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 blah.
Well, that's why they have people, you would have to hire actual people to, put the bottles on the, and then, knock off the bad ones into the...
But then you get people like, I want to say Laverne and Shirley, it might have been Bob and Doug McKenzie, that are in charge of making sure the bottles on the line are all good. But I might be remembering the movie Strange Brew and not real life, so that is also a distinct possibility. Never mind then.
Well,
This show is recorded, produced, directed, and edited by Connor J. Cassidy, with music by Sounds Like Sanders. Our podcast is hosted on podserve.fm, and our music was found via soundstripe.com. Please follow us on all social media at FunFacts, and if you like the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, have a nice day.